Hi everyone. I hope your prelims examination went well. So today now we are again starting with our daily news analysis. So starting with 7th of June 2022, and as always we cover the Hindu newspapers Delhi edition. Now before starting with the news analysis, just a short message. For those of you who are confident, or at least they are around the cutoff mark also, previous year's cutoff, you should continue with your mains preparation. You would have identified certain shortcomings, even from the point of view of mains. If you were to write mains right now, there would be certain shortcomings, like maybe the essay paper would have been ignored, the ethics paper you won't have prepared well, governance. So continue with that preparation. You have studied well for your prelims, fine if things don't go positive for you, but still focus on these areas, and then again before the exams, a good 6 months before, then again come back to the pre-mode. So that is what I would like to advise. So build on that preparation, don't let it go, right? Just don't let it go waste. That's what I'm saying. And starting with the DNA, I think you would have realized, if you had seen the pre-analysis also, that much of it was doable, and it was nothing except for most of it was actually there in the newspaper. It's just that we need an eye to spot the things. So these are the topics that we have today, and starting with the first news. So more nations express outrage. So there was this two BJP leaders who said something controversial with reference to Islamic religion, Prophet Muhammad and Islam. And because of this, the Islamic countries are naturally outraged. And Islamic countries are represented by an organization known as the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation. We'll stop here. Now, what we should be knowing over here is, what is this OIC, right? So we should know this from the point of view of prelims. This is very important. And the next thing we should know is, how does it affect us? Geopolitically, how does it affect us? So GS2, international relations, mains from that perspective. So these are the two things that we really need to focus rather than going too deep into the politics of the issue. So coming to the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So it is representing the Islamic world, and interestingly India is not part of it, even though India has about third or fourth highest number of Muslims in the world after Indonesia. Okay, so these are the countries that are part of the OIC, and OIC is an intergovernmental organization. UPSC has a tendency to ask such questions, like OIC is associated with, OIC is a multilateral organization, intergovernmental organization, not-for-profit organization. So like that, options are asked. So here, this is an intergovernmental organization, founded in 1969, 57 member states. So I'm sharing a map. Nobody's going to really ask you which all countries, but countries around the neighborhood of India can be asked if they ask so. So this is one side of it. Now from the point of view of GS2, how does it affect us? Indian government initially, they don't like OIC, and we should not be liking OIC, because OIC is taking stance normally which is very critical of India, especially with reference to the Kashmir issue, and we feel that Pakistan has a role over there. Okay, now what has happened is, this statement is pretty damaging to us, and most of the countries that we see over here, UAE, Bahrain, Oman, are significantly important to us. UAE is providing us, for instance, a lot of investment. So a lot of investments with reference to public-private partnerships, the funding that is there. So they are playing a very important role. The storage of oil, they are playing a very important role, national caverns. Likewise, these Middle Eastern countries are also providing us oil. So oil, energy security is basically national security. Then financing, so they have surplus capital, that money comes to India, so funding. Then we have Indians who are working as labor in Bahrain, Oman, Qatar. So different countries they are living. So safety of our diaspora. So that is a matter of concern. So that's obviously whenever we talk about this, it's a matter of concern. Then what else? Oman is very kind to us actually. We have very good relations, and Oman was saying that why don't we have this pipeline, undersea pipeline. Pakistan, we were not able to get gas connection from via this region like Iran, Pakistan, India pipeline or TAPI because Pakistan blocks it. And whatever pipeline is coming, it would go towards China. So Oman said, fine, we will build it from the sea. Submarine pipelines, so gas can be exported to India that way. So they have been very considerate in that way. Plus, diplomatically speaking, world countries need the support of each other for each other's initiatives. We need support with reference to terrorism. We need their votes with reference to India getting membership to a particular, maybe some election is taking place in the United Nations. So we need overall support, and each country is very important. Each country is one vote. So this is damaging and doesn't hold well for India in the short run also, long run also. And likewise, we have the OIC, we have the US also. So US Congress has its report on religion, freedoms given to religions and associated issues. So with reference to that also, US was very critical, US Congress. But it is just that India-US relations are at a high right now, so we are a bit more secure. But otherwise, this is not good sign for India. So therefore, after this news, in the center page, in the editorial and opinion section, there was an article that was a critique of India's policy, India's overall policy, and how India should have been more serious on this issue. Next article, all from front page. Prime Minister urges bank chiefs to make loan processes easier. Naturally, we need more and more loans should be easily available, credit should be easily available, so industrialists or any entrepreneur, so for that he will get more capital means it's easy to run the enterprise runs, so more jobs are created. That is the idea. It is important where is he saying it and what is the context. That is the thing that is important, not this headline over here. So he says that he urged the bank chiefs to make it easier for people to get loans through the Jan Samarth portal. Jan Samarth portal. So we should know this from the pre-point of view, specifically from the pre-point of view. So what is this Jan Samarth portal? So this thing are taking place, then Prime Minister Modi initiated some new series of coins, notes, etc. A special series of 1, 2, 5 rupee coins, and then a new logo of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And he also mentioned the goals of the Amrit Kal. Both of them were mentioned in the budget, and I had mentioned about this during a budget video also. So basically Amrit Kal is, we have entered into the Amrit Kal that was stated in the budget 2022-2023. So it says that the next 25 years from 2022 to 2047, so 75, I mean it's kind of 100 years since India's independence. So 1947 to 2047, so that is 100 years to India's independence. So by this we should get back our own old prosperity that we had. That is the goal, Amrit Kal. And before this was the Amrit Ka Mahotsav. So they keep coming up with all these terms. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Okay, so this is done. Now he also said that his government, he said that people's participation had increased and the poorest of the poor had become empowered. So what we should be thinking over here is, what measures have the government taken over here, or as to how people's participation had increased, what steps are being taken. And the other thing is, as to why is it important, why is people's participation important in governance. So this is a key theme from the governance point of view. Right. So people's participation, in fact, transparency, people's participation, accountability, and predictability are the core goals of good governance. Okay, so this is there, and normally, typically, it is done by e-governance. Now, coming to Jan Samarth portal. So, what is this Jan Samarth portal? So, the explanation is given over here also, but I am using the PIB over here. So government have this own banners on Jan Samarth portal. So what does it say? It says it is a one-stop digital national portal for credit-linked government schemes. In other words, there is this portal, Jan Samarth portal. So a citizen can directly go here, go to Jan Samarth portal, and from here, you know, the government has different schemes. The government has different schemes over here, and there are different ministries that are there. For example, Prime Minister Employment Generation Program, Mudra Yojana, Swanidhi, that is the street vendors, so if they need capital. So for all the capital related needs, a person need not go to different areas. One can directly get access via this portal, Jan Samarth portal, which will be connected to different departments of the government. In fact, it is connected to the 8 ministries. So 8 ministries are looking into the implementation of the Jan Samarth portal. So it directly connects the citizen or it directly connects the beneficiaries to the lenders, right? So lenders are there. So via the Jan Samarth portal, citizen just go to the Jan Samarth portal. So via this, they can connect to the different lenders. From there, they get access to different types of government benefits, which is particularly requiring credit support. For example, this self-employment scheme for rehabilitation, that is also providing some credit subsidy, credit to the beneficiary. Stand Up India, so anybody who wants to has its own startup, for them also they need money, so that will be provided via the Jan Samarth portal. So it is a repository of a dozen credit-linked government schemes. So whichever government scheme which requires the availability of credit, so that will be provided via the Jan Samarth portal. It will make the life easier for farmers. Farmers need loan, students, entrepreneurs, etc. Right? So all of them will get benefit out of this. So there are 13 schemes, 4 loan categories, 8 plus ministries are a part of this. So this is there. I couldn't really find which ministry is ultimately implementing it, because there has to be one particular ministry. It cannot be different ministries altogether. But the PIB that I got material from, that was Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So it is from here that I got it. But nothing specifically was mentioned. I went to the website also, I couldn't find it. Okay, so this is there. This is an online system. Apply online, check eligibility, get digital approval, track your application. So everything will be fast tracked with this regard. Next, tussle between Aam Aadmi Party and the Lieutenant Governor. So this intensifies over the issue of powers. So basically, Delhi was created via a constitutional amendment. Not Delhi wasn't really created. Delhi was given statehood. So Delhi was given statehood. Now, since Delhi is a union territory, nationally, and it is the capital of the country also. Nationally, it is not a full state. And likewise, the elected representatives. So normally in a state there is a governor who has to function in accordance with the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, which is led by the Chief Minister. So these are elected representatives. We voted for them. We voted for the MLAs, and MLAs vote. Ultimately, from the MLAs comes the Council of Ministers or the executive. So that is how it functions. But since Delhi is a partial state, it is not a full state. So here there is a lieutenant governor, and lieutenant governor has some overriding powers. And there is some confusion with reference to separation of powers, division of powers. So the powers of particularly land, services, that is appointment of people, bureaucrats, all those things, services, and law and order, police. Three very important issues are not with the elected representatives, but it is with the governor. Now, furthermore, it says there is an allegation against the lieutenant governor where a sitting MLA of the Aam Aadmi Party says that LG told them that not just the Delhi Development Authority and Delhi Police, but the whole of Delhi is under his control. So naturally, there is a tension that is going on. It's there in the media also. So UPSC asked this question twice. So the elected representatives went to the High Court, Delhi High Court in 2016. And at that time the High Court had said that Lieutenant Governor has overriding powers. But this was appealed by the Aam Aadmi Party, Chief Minister, etc. And in 2018, the Supreme Court had given a verdict in favor of the Kejriwal government. So both the years UPSC asked us a question over here. So we have the past year, we'll do it from that perspective. I don't want to discuss in entirety this article over here. But this was the analysis, overall issue over here. Pir Panjal emerges key battleground to capture power. Fine, so this is something to do with the J&K politics. And but we from exam point of view, we really don't are concerned with what is really happening over here. But yes, we must know from the exam point of view as to where is the Pir Panjal. Now you saw places in news, so such kind of questions are asked, and I think I'll always say keep an atlas handy with you. So you must know the location of Pir Panjal, right? So Pir Panjal is in the Lesser Himalayas, so it's mentioned over here. It is in the Lesser Himalayas, so you should know the region over here. And also you should know the chronology as to Karakoram, Zaskar Himalayas, Zaskar Mountains, Ladakh range. So you should know the north-south orientation over here. Because you know, if UPSC has to ask you a question and if it is not giving you a map, so for the UPSC to ask you a question or to see that you have the right knowledge, you have a precise idea of the locations, they will have to ask you in this way only. So you should, that is why you should always know the north-south orientation and also east-west orientation. In this, north-south is required. Right, so this you should know, then you should know about the Punjab Himalayas, Kumaon Himalayas, so like that also you should be studying. Okay, so that was from the pre-perspective. Now one more thing, yeah, so let's do what really happened over here. So basically, you know, Jammu and Kashmir was a full state. The state of Jammu and Kashmir, now forget about the physical features, it was a full state. Then they made a union territory out of it. So there was one union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and there was a union territory with reference to the Ladakh region. So the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir was to be with the legislature, just as the case of Delhi and Puducherry. So they were required to have a legislature. Eventually there will be a council of ministers. Right? So partially the powers, this thing will be sorted out. So this is with the legislature, that is the key thing. So legislature means that eventually the people of Jammu and Kashmir will have to vote. Ladakh, normal union territories, there is no system of elections as such, it is only the Lok Sabha elections. But here assembly elections will take place to fill in the membership for the legislature. Now naturally, since the state has been partitioned, so therefore there is a need to redefine the constituencies. So there is a need to redefine the constituencies over here. Now to define constituencies, we can also say there is a need to demarcate. What is demarcation? Demarcation means defining the boundaries. So defining the boundaries of the constituencies. So that is to be done. And this is done by the Delimitation Commission. So Delimitation Commission So this is done by that. And Delimitation Commission is not a constitutional body, but the constitution provides that the parliament may from time to time create the Delimitation Commission. Now for parliament to create something, it has to pass a law. So a Delimitation Commission Act is formed from time to time. Now since elections are to be done, constituencies have to be defined, so a Delimitation Commission was formed for specifically for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Now there is an allegation. Naturally, BJP party is ruling over there, and BJP does not have so much heft in the politics of this region. They do have actually in the recent times. So in the Jammu region, they have good hold, but in the Kashmir region, they are a bit weak. But this Jammu and Kashmir has good, they are balanced. So there is an allegation that this region, this Pir Panjal Valley, is being done in such a way, in fact the entire delimitation exercise is done in such a way that it favors the BJP party. So it is trying to consolidate the BJP vote bank, the constituencies in such a way that BJP vote bank is consolidated while the others are weakened. The Kashmiri parties, traditional parties are weakened. So that is an allegation that these people are making over here. Obviously non-BJP parties are making over there. Okay, so that is the politics behind it. You also learnt about the Delimitation Commission. Now moving on with the Pir Panjal, there is a reference of the communities that live in the Pir Panjal region. So for the first time actually, reservation has been provided for the scheduled tribes. So not before this there was no provision of reservation, but this time the people who are living in the mountains, obviously tribals, so they are getting reservation under the ST, so scheduled tribes. So there are three communities that are mentioned: Gujjar, Bakerwals and Pahadis. In fact, Gujjar and Bakerwals is also mentioned in your NCERT when they discuss the concept of transhumans. So reservation is being provided. So in this, the Gurjar and Bakerwals are provided reservation, but Pahadis have not been provided reservations, even though they are similar. So again, it believes that it is done in such a way that it benefits the ruling party at the center. So from point of view, I hope you get certain points. So Pir Panjal Valley, people living over there. So that can be important. Plus, you know the concept of Delimitation Commission. A silver moment to propel a Bay of Bengal dream. So this Bay of Bengal dream is actually the BIMSTEC. Now here today actually I just want to, I really don't want to go deep into this. I want to discuss the politics of the BIMSTEC. So things around this. And why this article is there, because 6th June, that is yesterday, so 6th June marked the completion of the 25 years since the 1997, actually 2022, so 25 years of the Bangkok Declaration, which launched a modest grouping of India, Sri Lanka and Thailand. So now, you know, from point of view, you know, Bangkok Declaration associated with the BIMSTEC. Now, naturally, this was a small grouping: Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand, all of these along the Bay of Bengal region. But gradually, more and more countries were added. Mostly the littoral countries or countries that are in the vicinity of the Bay of Bengal, except Nepal and Bhutan are also added to this. And apart from other associations, other South Asian association, because you see this is primarily South Asia minus Pakistan, so Pakistan is not there and Afghanistan is not there. And I think Maldives is also not there, so that is again a South Asian country. So barring these countries, most of the countries over here till this part are South Asian countries. Plus it has the Asian countries. It starts with the Myanmar and the Thailand. So Bay of Bengal BIMSTEC initiative is somewhere it is seen as a counter to the SAARC. So initially it was very slow, but post the Uri incident, in fact, ever since Prime Minister Modi has come to power and Pakistan things didn't work out, so he has been focusing since 2014. So post 2014, there has been effort where we are moving away from SAARC to BIMSTEC. And the basic reason is that in SAARC, Pakistan was there, and it will start, it will stop the cooperation amongst the countries. It would use the Kashmir card or some other issue, or it would try to manipulate Nepal, Bhutan, these countries against cooperating with India. So India said, fine, after Uri, there is no point of talking to you. We will focus on the BIMSTEC initiative instead. It is more or less SAARC minus Maldives, Pakistan, Afghanistan. So that is the politics behind it. And there is lots more to it. So from exam point of view, what I feel is the relevance of BIMSTEC, that is an important theme. Please note it down. Relevance of BIMSTEC, that is one theme. What are the issues and challenges that are being faced? So the challenges are mentioned over here, the fault lines. So that you can see. So issues and challenges, opportunities. So that is one thing. The other thing is, can we see BIMSTEC as a counter to SAARC? Can we do away without SAARC? So that is another theme that we can work with reference to the topic of BIMSTEC. Do we need SAARC basically? Can we isolate, just ignore the SAARC grouping and just focus on the BIMSTEC? Can we do that? So that is again a point of discussion or debate with reference to international relations. That is important for GS2. Now, naturally, these countries, opportunities, the politics behind it. So one is that India has been looking at the Act East policy. So Look East became Act East during the time of PM Modi. And one of the things over here is that it will provide us with greater engagement. And when we talk about greater engagement, connectivity is key. So connectivity projects is being focused upon along the entire region. So that is the idea. So we should be well connected across the regions over here. And this particularly helps the northeastern region. Northeastern region does not have access to port. It is one of the most, it is backward, plus not just backward, because of backwardness there is militancy and other problems. So Prime Minister Modi said, we want transformation through transportation. What do we want? Transformation through, so 3 T's of Prime Minister Modi: transportation. So he loves all this, right? So transformation to transportation. So one is this highway that will be going, so trilateral national highway. Other thing is there is this port initiative known as the Kaladan project going by the Situe river in Myanmar. So from here, northeastern states get easy access to the maritime domain. So obviously with connection with the maritime trade will help developmental activities. That will create more jobs and all those things. Then this region is prone to natural disasters. Every year cyclones come, and I have drawn this for a reason. It goes via this direction. So cyclones come, some disaster or the other takes place. So these countries can work together, and primarily India will have a more important role. And yes, one more thing, that India wants to be in the recent BIMSTEC summit. So this is the anniversary thing. So BIMSTEC was discussed earlier. So that time Prime Minister Modi had said that we want to be the net security provider in the region. So net security provider, that means we want to be the blue water navy, which Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had also said. That was his vision. So Indian Navy playing a predominant role in this region, and this has been articulated in Prime Minister Modi's vision for Sagar, that is security and growth for all in the region. Right, so these are certain things over here. So with reference to challenges, it says, so one is the issue of the Rohingyas. So Myanmar is having this genocide against the Rohingyas, and Rohingyas are migrating to Bangladesh. So it's believed that they are ethnically Bangla people who have come from Bangladesh and settled into initially the Rankine province of the Myanmar, somewhere here. which is also the site of a Kalazan project. Supports Sitwe port is connects over here only. Okay, so this creates tension with the Bangla people, Bangladesh and Myanmar, and some Rohingyas are settled in different parts of our country also. So particularly the BJP party does not like this, members over here. So this is a cause of tension. So Rohingya issue, Bangladesh and Myanmar are not talking to each other. So that is there. Then we have not been able to sign an FTA, free trade agreement, in the last 18 years. Then we do talk about connectivity, but nothing really has materialized in the last 25 years. Nothing much has taken place. It is only in the recent times where we find a push. Now here there is a reference to this term over here, Master Plan for Connectivity, which is supported by the Asian Development Bank. So this is there is a limited we have adopted this initiative over here. So this, you can think of it from the perspective also. Plus you should know about the Asian Development Bank. It is basically led by Japan, and it is headquartered in Manila. So these things you should know. Plus there is this issue of the financial constraints. Now recently some optimistic, like what all things, way forward things. So it says that we should prioritize this. India should play a pivotal role. The parents have a responsibility of maintaining the well-being of its offspring. So like that, the article I put up. So naturally India has to do this, and it also talks about collaborating with the newly minted Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity. So President Biden of the United States had come up with this initiative. It's not very clear as to what it is. Had covered in the previous analysis also. But yes, you should know which all countries are part of the IPEF or proposed IPEF over here. So naturally China will not be part of it. These are things that are important for your exam. You should be prepared to make a note on what is the BIMSTEC, opportunities, challenges, and the way forward. Then BIMSTEC as a counter to SAARC. Is it feasible or not? This article seems very important. So some issues that come to light from the mains perspective. So this article is basically the police perspective. So a retired DGP, so his point of view with reference to the recent judgment of the Supreme Court in the Buddhadev Karmaskar versus the state of Bengal and others. Now, from perspective, okay, fine, this judgment is associated with which of the following issues. So like that, questions can be asked. Now, what did the court held in this judgment? So court basically said that the sex workers and the children have the right to live with dignity and decency. They can continue with their profession. So that is what it said. Now, what I believe is important over here is, for not ignoring the article as such, but what I feel is important is the issues and challenges. You can note down the issues and challenges that are faced by the sex workers. So that is one thing. So what steps should the government take directly? This is important. What are the rights of the sex workers? This is one. So what are the rights of the sex workers, right? And how can that be protected? Ethics of prostitution. From GS4, ethics of prostitution over here. Is it a moral thing? Is it immoral? So from that perspective, we can work on this thing. Then factors that can be attributed, which lead to the cause of sex workers. So socio-economic factors associated with this. So causative factors, if we ban sex work, then what will happen? The welfare of the children. So from that perspective. And then we should not, UPSC doesn't really go into this dimension overall, but yes, there is no rule as such. So I believe that as this article is pointing out, it is telling us about some issues with the Immoral Traffic in Prevention Act. So we know that, okay, fine, Immoral Traffic and Prevention Act deals with the subject of sex work and prostitution, but there are certain issues and challenges which this article is mentioning over here. So we should have an analysis on that perspective also. Right, so these are certain issues. I want you to read this article by yourself actually, but I want you to work from this perspective over here. So GS1 from the point of view of society and sex work. Then rights, what should the government do? What steps should be taken? So that is governance. Ethics of sex workers, should it be there? What will happen to the sex workers if this is banned? You are banning one's occupation of one's ability to earn a livelihood. What will happen to the family? Is prostitution otherwise acceptable, and should it be there or should it not be there? If prostitution is allowed or sex work is allowed, then would it lead to human trafficking? There was this movie also, Gangubai, I think you can correlate with that also. So ethics of sex workers. And then the law that is associated over here. So in that perspective, I want you to work upon. Now moving on to the last article. So this is with reference to the defense projects, and defense means lot of questions on prelims. For me, it's as simple as that. So these projects, it says it gets nod rupees 76,390 crores. Who gives this nod? Who gives this nod? This nod is coming from the Defense Acquisition Council. Who chairs it? The Defense Minister of the country. Who all people, naturally if it is a council, there will be other members also. So which all people are members of this council? Now that is your homework. So identify the members over here. There is a mention of Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. So it's basically talking about modernization of the Navy over here. The things that from the defense perspective that should be there, but and it is also talking about a digital coast guard project. I think we'll have more on this in the subsequent analysis over here. Now what you should know, or what you can do is you can refer this from the pre-perspective. What is this? Then Dornier aircraft, so naturally it's a transport aircraft. Su-30 you would be knowing, it's a military aircraft. Then there is a mention of corvette submarine, next generation corvettes. So what does this corvette do? How is it different from a frigate? I'm not explaining to you, so you see for yourself. So how are they different? I believe corvette is something that helps in tracking the submarines. Frigate is like a normal ship. So look at this from the pre-perspective, research by yourself, and that will help you over here. Right then, so this basically concludes our daily news analysis. So thank you for streaming in to IASPrimers with me, Shubhashish. Bye bye, take care and all the best.